Hello NBA fans and welcome back to another episode of the NBA the week that was. So, as a Hawks fan, I'm on top of the world. I don't think any of us expected the Hawks to be in the conference finals after being 14-20 just on March 1st and having just hired a new head coach and fired our old one. But here we are, Trae Young is leading the way, the villain of the NBA, the owner of New York City and Philadelphia, and now the Hawks are in the conference finals to take on the Bucks. Today in my video, I won't be talking about the 76ers as much. A lot of the national media narrative has been around the 76ers losing and how they didn't play well, and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid with all his turnovers, but no one's really talking about how well the Hawks played and why they deserve to be on this stage. So that's what I'll be talking about in this video, how the Hawks won this series against the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's get right into it. I think it's only right to start with the most obvious reason for the Hawks' victory, and it's that man back there, Trae Young. Oh my god, what a player. Every game I watch, I just go crazy over one or two plays he makes. But it's not just that. So, okay, let's look at Game 7. His only bad game in this series, and arguably his only bad game in the playoffs. He still had 21 points, he still had 11 assists, and just him on the court is so important for the Hawks. He was finding those lobs for Capella late in the third quarter and early in the fourth quarter when we needed those buckets. He was making the right plays at the right time, even though his own shot wouldn't fall down. And finally in the fourth quarter, when it mattered the most, Trae made a nice floater, a great mid-range shot, and that three in Ben Simmons' face from 29 feet out to ice the game was just classic Trae Young. This kid has stepped it up in the playoffs. That's so rare. You typically have guys making their jumps in the regular season. Trae Young has made his jump in the playoffs. But I have to make a point. All the national media are calling him a superstar now. Where was this love before? Just because the Hawks were winning doesn't mean Trae Young wasn't as good as he was before as he is now. Obviously, he's gotten better. He's gotten more mature. But those 29 points and 9 assists were not empty stats. I don't know how many times I have to repeat myself. It's because of how bad the Hawks roster was around him. Evan Turner was our backup point guard last year. He's an assistant coach now. That just speaks to the fact that he had bad teammates. Alex Len was catching lobs. Now it's Clint Capella. Our backup point guard is Lou Williams, who's just giving the 76ers buckets. Trae Young finally has a good supporting cast, and it's allowed him to show the national media that he's that good. Prior to this, all Atlanta fans know. I know all my Atlanta fans out there, you agree with me on this. Trae Young has been a superstar, but the national media are just discovering it now. But props to Trae Young. He had this team on the back. It all starts with Trae. He pushes the aggression. He pushes the pace. He makes the right passes. He gets guys involved. And he gets his own buckets. And you can't ask more from your franchise player who is only 22 years old and is going to get way better. And one last point I want to make about him. He's really stepped it up on the defensive end. He never really used to show effort on that end last year, but this year he's running around. He's trying to stop the guy from getting the open three. He's making deflections. He's playing the right help defense. He's doing whatever he can at his obviously disadvantage with his size, with his weak frame. He's still making the most of it, and I really want to congratulate him on that. But now let's talk about that supporting cast. Here or there, we missed a lot of shots. There were a lot of open shots missed by a lot of key guys, and it's a reason why we couldn't close this series out in 6. We should have won Game 6, but we missed 11 free throws. We missed a bunch of open threes. We missed a couple of layups. Both Capella and John Collins did, and Trae Young couldn't do it all on his own. But in Game 7, in Game 5, when it mattered the most, when the Hawks were on the brink of elimination, these key guys stepped it up. In Game 5, we got to take a look at Lou Williams and that run he went on in the fourth quarter. He could not miss. Even though it was still a 13-point gap because they were still getting buckets, Lou Williams gave us that inspiration. We can make the shots. We can come back in this game. And then we made that historic 26-point comeback. In Game 7, let's talk about Red Velvet. My man Kevin Huerter is finally showing everyone what he's made of. I always liked the guy since he was a rookie. When he played his first games for Atlanta, and he would be there in the corner. He would make an occasional open corner three, but he never really was much. But now he's leading our team in scoring in Game 7, getting 27 points and 7 rebounds. He's thoroughly improved his game. He used to be just a 3-and-D guy without the D. He was just a 3-point shooter, but last year, he started working on his playmaking, and this year, he looks so much more comfortable with the ball in his hands. He's making plays for himself. He realized he had a mismatch on him with Seth Curry in Game 7, bullying him in the post, getting 2-and-1s, making these crazy floaters. That step-back 3 on Tobias Harris is probably the best shot of the game after Trae's 3 to ice the game. And he's just proving that Atlanta has a well-built roster, and so many compliments should go out to Travis Schlenk and the roster he's created. We've built a roster that has scoring in the sense that people can create on their own. They're not all relying on Trae. Gallinari clutched 16 points. He also was really big in Game 5. But last night, that steal he got on Embiid, the three he made to make it a 1-point game with like 6 minutes to go, these small plays added up because all of these guys, Gallinari, Bogdanovic, who was still injured, and I have mad respect to him for playing last night. But he made 1 or 2 good plays here or there, and he was just playing his heart out, and you really like that from a guy, even though he is not 100%, not near 100%. But Gallinari can hit his own shot. Bogey can. Kevin Huerter can. DeAndre Hunter can, who hasn't even played this series. Cam Reddish, if he recognizes his potential. I need to make a video about that kid. I'm telling you, he's going to bounce back. And Lou Williams and Trae Young. That's almost 6 or 7 guys that can create their own shots. And they all play well together. They're all good off the ball. They're all good shooters. I think Travis Schlenk has done a wonderful job of building such a deep roster to support Trae when it mattered the most. And we finally got to the Eastern Conference Finals. In the time the 76ers had their process, we made the playoffs, we completely rebuilt, and now we're back in the Eastern Conference Finals. That just says that the process was just kind of stupid. Tanking? That doesn't matter for us. We don't need to tank. We can build good rosters without tanking. And finally, I just have to talk about, this could sound cheesy to you guys, but it matters a lot to me. And it's just the belief these guys showed, not only like within themselves, but within the team as a whole, and the fact that they thought they could win any game. They have not looked scared once in this series, besides, I would say, the fourth quarter of Game 1. Even though we won that game against the Sixers, we really looked frantic. Otherwise, we have not looked scared in this playoffs. These guys just have belief in themselves, and it all starts from Nate McMillan. It's another cheesy thing, but again, when the team huddles up to leave the locker room before the game, Nate McMillan holds up a fist and says believe, and says you guys have to be as tight as this fist. Show unity, show belief. Nate McMillan has asked all Hawks fans to do one thing this whole year, and that is believe. And we have done that. The team has done that. Nate McMillan has led the way, and now here the Hawks are ready to take on the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. And with that, I'd like to conclude this video here on the NBA, the week that was. I hope all the Hawks fans watching this video are just as hyped as I am about this team moving forward and really think we can go all the way. I mean, that might be a bit biased, but you never know with the way they're playing. I'll have my next video out tomorrow, in fact, which will be previewing the Hawks and Bucks series, which starts on Wednesday. Please let me know what you thought about this video in the comments. If you have any takes, and I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you. I'll see you guys on my next episode. Bye.